Hello and welcome to another episode of Expert Matters. I'm your host Shruti Bora, and today we have someone who truly represents the intersection of engineering, sales, strategy, and business transformation. Joining me today is Mehul Daftari, a mechanical engineer turned into sales strategist with rich experience across technical sales, business development, and client consulting. He has handled high impact portfolios across sectors like aerospace, medical, manufacturing, legal tech, and is currently pursuing his MBA in marketing and operations. So, if you are an MBA student or early career professional curious about B2B sales, technical strategy, or how to navigate across industries, you're in for a treat. Let's dive right in. Thank you so much, Mehul, for joining us today.
Thank you, Shruti. It's all my pleasure to be here today.
Wonderful connecting with you. I have a lot of questions for you today, but my first and foremost question to you would be, can you walk us through your journey from mechanical engineering to sales and consulting, and also help us understand what triggered that specific shift?
So, to be honest, there was no specific way forward for me because I didn't plan to be in sales. Nobody plans to be in sales, to be really honest about it. So, when I started, I was an undergrad in mechanical engineering. I was a pretty good mechanical engineer in terms of the concepts I learned. I was a good student back in college. And once I got out of college, I got placed in a very small company. Uh, I think I was working in Paramount International. It was a small dealership for pumps and manufacturing, right? So after that, I was spending some time. I was a graduate engineer trainee back then, right? And I was just visiting people because I didn't know where to go after this. There was no specific campus placements as such. I used to reach out to HR. Somehow I worked down to some HR, rounded off one HR who was based out of Noida, and I somehow joined this company, right? My main target at that point was to not work into the mechanical segment or any of it, just get a source of income and then prepare for another exams. I was preparing for GATE back then, right? So somehow things turned out to be that people connected with me. Actually, I was a dealer sales graduate engineer trainee, you call them, right? I visited a lot of clients to understand the technical requirements, and I was sort of good at speaking with people. And that somehow turned out to be something where a Korean manufacturer of cutting tools just met me at a plant manufacturer, and they just spoke to me. They understood what I was doing, and they offered me a job right there. Would be you be willing enough to join our organization? And they didn't mention that I would be going into sales. They said you would be hired as a R&D engineer because I think you are much more aligned to the technical aspect of it. And when I joined the organization, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, the R&D department was dissolved.
Oh,
They,
wow.
yeah, they moved the entire operations to Korea.
Uh-huh.
Now, my boss, who was the regional sales manager, he recommended me that I should work in sales, otherwise I will be laid off. I didn't have much of a choice back then, and somehow they pushed me down into sales. I started my career from there on, and that then how it's been going till now. But then again, over the time, I realized that sales is not something that is it's very badly put in terms of the looks, how it looks like, right? You don't have to push for sales. You need strategy. You need a solutions mindset for that. And over the years, I realized this I was missing in some segments, and that's why I started pursuing my MBA. Now I have completed my MBA as well. I'm working in an enterprise sales organization, and that somehow it transitioned from a mechanical engineering to somehow a sales and consulting professional, you must say right now. Yeah.
Amazing. It requires a lot of strength when you choose to stay in the path which has been planned out for you. It's very difficult because, say, for example, you might have been put into R&D, you wouldn't have realized your true potential, and I'm sure you'll be doing great in sales.
Thank you.
Uh, Speaking of strength, you've worked across very different sectors, especially early in your career. So
You.
during your earlier roles, you managed multiple sectors like aerospace, medical. And how did you quickly build industry-specific knowledge because you were new to sales, the
Yeah.
entire domain? So
Yeah.
how did I want to understand the process of developing a specialization. If some student wants to, get into a specific industry, how do they do that?
So it specifically boils down to how much of effort you are willing to put in, right? See, when I was hired fresh out of college, I was not hired into a big organization. So big organizations usually they have a set path for development of their early talent, right? They have management trainees positions and everything. They have a entire planned out course for them. For me, I was thrown right into the field. I had some colleagues who were kind enough to share their knowledge with me. Most of it was self-learning. I used to visit websites. There was no chat GPT back then. It started in 2021, the chat GPT thing. But I used to visit Google's. I read a lot of research papers. I visited a lot of clients' websites, how they are doing. I still remember there are a lot of third tier manufacturers of aerospace in India. I didn't know about them. I only knew HAL, Boeing, Airbus, and everything like that. But then again, I reached out to those third tier vendors. I understood how they were handling their operations. I spoke to them. I called them randomly, gave them a cold call, uh, uh, behaving as in I am some of an expert in the matter, somehow getting some details out of them, that understanding over the time. And so that is how it worked back then. In medical also, I just, most of it was self-researched, and one of my colleagues and my boss initially helped me out in the process.
Makes sense. What did what did your typical day look like in your previous technical sales and solutions role?
Yeah. So in first of all, in Corlai, when the day used to be very hectic, we had a very, since it was a Korean-based organization, still is a Korean-based organization. We have very strict timing. We had to reach office by, I think, 7:45 a.m. in the morning, and the off time was not specified because I was into sales. I had to visit the potential clients, and I was usually would reach home by 8 p.m. in the morning, sorry, in the evening. So it consisted of a 12-hour shift. I searched down the customers. I didn't have any customers allotted to me. I had to make my market. I had to do the initial preliminary research. I found the customers, I understand the requirements, and then I used to cold call them and plan my meetings with them to handle sales and everything. So that is how it looked down in Corlai. But soon after 2019, I think COVID started, and we didn't have any work from home. I was not leveraging work from home at that time. I think since from March till April, we had 1 month work from home, and then we started visiting the offices.
During the COVID period as well.
We
Oh,
were given
wow.
classes because we were in the manufacturing segment.
Uh-huh.
So we had to somehow, I was playing the role of, at that time, I was not handling sales as per se because most of the customers were closed down. But since I was staying close to the office, I was given the role of an operations manager, a sort of warehousing management, where all the imports from Korea were handled because the production house was not completely out of India. We had a lot of imports, and we had to manage the entire warehouse. Yeah, so that's what I did. Yeah.
Wow, that does requires a lot of, a packed day and a very dynamic day to be turned out every day. I wanted to also discuss some of your business development approach. You have obviously worked on strategic market development with crores now. How do you approach new business development from scratch?
Yeah, see, I have worked from a grassroots level in sales. What I understood, in sales, you don't work at the specified hours of the day. You are 24 hours on the work. You are work on Saturdays and Sundays. You meet new people. You just have conversations with them. You certainly understand what they are currently working into, right? Suddenly, yeah, a roommate of mine had a friend, right? He was into Maruti, and from the long time I was planning to get into Maruti as a vendor. So I spoke to the guy. We had some nice conversation, and then casually mentioned that we are into cutting segments. Can you help us with a meeting with your operations manager or productions manager? He was kind enough. We went there for a meeting. Fortunately, the meeting went successful. We were able to quote a right price. We were able to provide the right solution, and when all the things go right, the sales completes. So there's no specified approach I followed, but I was working 24 by 7 all the days. I was continuously connecting with people. That's how sales works in
Wow.
the initial days, I
That
must say.
sounds like a lot of work altogether, especially for somebody who's new to sales domain.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it has been a good experience now. The manufacturing segments are pretty hard to get into. We don't have any soft core people waiting down for leads right down there. We have to create our own markets. We have to provide our own services. Everything is to be managed by one person. So that's it. I'm
Wow,
not
that
trying to
sounds
scare your people off, but
it does sound a little scary, especially to students. People who have worked in the industry, I don't think they would be, scared so much about the work. But I think the new generation, when they look towards work or maybe a job, they look
Hmm.
for work-life balance, work from home, more money, more amenities, more benefits.
No,
So
even I
telling
want
them
that now.
obviously, why would somebody lose the work-life balance? And I don't think there's a specific definition of work-life balance. Everybody has their own meaning to it. So a
True.
lot of work, definitely you were passionate about whatever you were doing, and it does require a lot of strength, especially during COVID times when every industry, every domain, especially even schools got virtual. So
Yeah.
everything got converted virtual. That's a lot of patience and hard work you put
I
together.
was the only person living in my entire residential tower back then.
Wow.
And then my parents were worried that why are you just not
Of
quitting your job?
course. Of course, they should be. I also wanted to ask about the soft skills you've developed with time, especially it's very required, in technical background and technical domain. How important do you think is technical knowledge versus communication and relationship building, especially in the domain you are, B2B enterprise sales?
True. So in terms of the industrial segment or the FMCG segment, if I talk about those segments, the communication part is not very important. I must say, it's not that you need to be able to communicate, but not in a specified language, because people are from various backgrounds and various. You will work with a lot of people who are working on ground. You will be working with supervisors, distributors who would not be very polished in English, and you don't require such high language skills for them. But then again, you have to be very specific with your product. You have to have that technical knowledge of what you are offering to those people, because they have a certain knowledge, because they have been working in that segment for 10-15 years at least, right? So the industrial segment functions in a different way than technical or IT segment, right? So in industries, what happens, the job is not offered on the basis of skills you have, it is offered on the basis of the experience you carry, right? And there's nothing you can do about gaining those skills, because I cannot gain a skill of operating a boiler by just studying about it. I have to spend time on the field working for at least 4 or 5 years to understand how the entire work tool works, right? Whereas in case of the software industries, the IT segment or the consulting segment, you do just need a laptop, you need a few videos, you just need something, a scratch pad to scribble your ideas upon, and then you're fine with it, right? So communication does plays an important role, but not in a very nuanced manner, I must say, in the industrial segment. But for software, it is very important, because people here are much more polished. People expect that you give them a storyline in selling. They don't expect you to give a specific product features. Now, since I have been working in the enterprise segment, I never sell customers any product, right? I don't sell them features. I sell them stories. I tell them how this product is going to change their organization structure as a whole. So that is how it works now.
Awesome. I am sure, soft skills does play a very, very important role, especially in sales when you have to communicate to people on everyday basis. So you cannot, put everything down on a paper and send it to your clients, everything all at once, because it has to be very, very super personalized, everything.
Yep, true.
While we talk about soft skills, do you think technical or maybe tools or platforms would enhance your productivity? Or let me put it in another way, what tools or platforms do you think would make a big difference while you have your excellent communication and your personalization storytelling skills?
Anything that would be helping you out to segregate and visualize data. That is my first say. Because in today's time, if you have the data in front of you, you would have the list of existing customers and everything, the potential new leads, right? Now you should be able to segregate that data into relevant buckets, right? And segments, so that you can approach the market, which seems like a low hanging fruit for initial success. So tools like Tableau, right? First of all, Power BI, these are some specific tools that would help you. And in a very true sense, these are required at after MBA, I must say. If you want to work in sales and marketing roles, you need to have the knowledge of these tools, right?
Right. As someone, you're now pursuing MBA degree, what
Mhm.
made you take that call after years of rich work experience in the industry? Because you sound very confident, you sound very professional, you already have the skill set which is required by somebody who's trying to get into the industry. What made you, take that decision of moving into an MBA degree after years of experience?
So, more money, less grunt work, I must say, in a very in a single sentence. But yeah, apart from that, I realized that sales that I was handling was not much more strategic, right? I was just going into field. I was just in the implementation part. So I wanted a very strategic overview of the entire process as a whole the organization works, right? So MBA seemed like something which would make me leverage my existing experience, right? If I would have gone to an MTech program, then the sales experience would not be as of much relevant. MBA was something that was making me much more inclined towards it because I already had experience in expanding the market, but I was lacking somewhere because I was not at the position of my manager who was able to consolidate everything in one place. So those skills I wanted to learn, and then that somehow that pushed me for the MBA. Apart from the less grunt work and more money.
That is, a very no nonsense roadmap, because the clarity you have is very refreshing. Knowing when to choose a different path with your career, especially when you are earning money consistently and then putting a pause to it and choosing a different career path altogether, that's a lot of awareness and clarity altogether. So a lot of people can't do that. 90% or maybe 80% of the batch we have at MBA is freshers, people coming directly after their graduation, but 20% are people like you who have experience in the industry. I think one of my batchmate had 16 years of experience in the
I
industry.
true.
So, he was working, I think, I'm not sure of the company, I think in Aditya Birla for 16 good years. And then he was not able to get promoted at the leadership level because the MBA degree was much required there. So he
Mm.
came, he attended the college for 2 years with all of us, leaving everything he knew about his experience and starting afresh. And now he's working as CXO in one of the companies. It's been 2.5 years. So
So it
16
requires
years plus 2 years of degree. Yes.
true, true. But then again, MBA or any higher education degree is something that you should do only when you have a call. When you get a
Hmm.
call from inside that this is the right time I should do this. I waited
Hmm.
for 4.5 years till that I had the internal call. You should do an MBA right now. Otherwise,
Correct.
there was no plan in my life. I'd never meant to do an MBA in my life. But then circumstances change.
MBA happens to all of us.
It
I must
happens
say, because
somehow.
I myself was a journalist. I was working at Doordarshan, and then I don't know how I was doing really, really good, and I was really happy at my workplace. But I don't know how things shifted, and I ended up becoming in HR now. So it has been a great turn to my career as well, and I can totally relate with you.
And
My
maybe
last
it was like that. You also wanted less grunt work and more money.
Not really. I didn't want it to. So COVID happened, and then I didn't want it to take a pause of my career, because the recordings at media houses, everything was supposed to be recorded at their studios. So it was
Mm.
not safe for me to go there and record like you were doing it.
True, true, true.
But my parents were not that courageous. They had to keep me at home. So I
Yeah.
had to, think of something, and then gradually giving a cat came upon my hair. I tried giving cat. I scored really well. I got ISBR, and then rest is history. I love my job now.
I'm glad to hear that.
I also have one last question for you. I've had such a fun time asking a lot of questions, which are majorly relevant to the people who are going to watch this video. The last but not the least question would be, what would be your advice to MBA students who want to break into strategic sales or key account management roles?
So first of all, don't aim for that role as a name, right? You just can't bifurcate the roles, but in a broader sense, what you can do, you can first of all clear all your basics, right? Be ready for whatever MBA throws at you. Now, if you want to get into a key account management or sales role, then you have to be very clear. Then why are you getting into it? Are you ready for the initial grunt work? Right. If somebody is a fresher, I don't recommend just going right from the college to an MBA and then going to a sales, and then it becomes a tedious task for them, right? Have some on ground experience, but sales is a wonderful job, right? You will get to meet a lot of people, irrespective of the required departments or any specific organizations. You will learn from people. You will have interdisciplinary interactions with multiple departments, right? And as a recommendation or an advice, I'll advise these people to just clear on their basics, interact with more people, and just be out there. Don't be restricted to yourself. Don't be that I'll just complete all my studies and this and everything, and then I'll apply for this ideal role, right? Jump into anything that makes you uncomfortable. Don't jump into finance, I must say. I'm not saying jump into finance, but something that you are not great at, do it. That explore out, right? And then everything makes out a way. Just be clear with your basics and what you want to do in life, right?
That's a great advice. Mehul, this has been such a rich and well-rounded conversation. We started with your experience. We covered each and every domain, soft and technical part of your journey and your specialization, especially. And then, while you are doing MBA now, and how did you decide to get into an MBA degree? That is such a relevant point of view and point of transition for a lot of people who might be watching this video.
Sure.
So, I have personally had such a fun time, and the advice you gave it is very, very relevant because everybody knows motivational quotes nowadays, but they really cannot implement it at their daily routines. So it's very important to give them clarity, especially on the career decisions they are going to make in future, maybe nearly a month or maybe a year. Had such a fun time. Lovely conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm sure a lot of people who are MBA students at ISBR or any other industry, uh, they are definitely, going to, if interested in sales, they are definitely going to ping you and hit you up on LinkedIn, because I'm going to attach your LinkedIn profile link in the description of this video.
I'll be happy to help. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, Shruti, for your time.
Thank you so much, Mehul. Wonderful, and wish you all the best for your MBA. And let's see what lies ahead. I'm still in HR. Let's figure something out together.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.